How's it going, beautiful people? This is Jose Trujillo. I'm the world's greatest living artist, coming to you here from my home. And I wanted to talk to you about your art career, your business, how things are working for you, what's working, what's not working. I wanted to touch a little bit on those things. I believe they're it's very important to be able to start figuring out if it's something that you're going to do as a pastime, if it's something you're going to do just to kind of learn and have something on the side, maybe create some additional income from your artwork, or if it's something that is going to be a long, you're in for the long run, right? It's going to be a career that you may develop into a business later on, and that kind of thing. So for those just joining in right now, I'm talking about your art career. Okay, when I started creating artwork, I was about 14 years old when I started actually just going into the whole. I want to be an artist, right? I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't understand it. I started just creating artwork and trying to get my work in the galleries and trying to exhibit. I was a little kid, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, right? There was no path, let's call it that. And the people that were learning, that were teaching, actually, anything about artwork, 90% of it, if not like, I don't know, 99% of it, they were teaching technique. They were teaching techniques. They were teaching strategies in how to paint, right? They were teaching how to paint. They were teaching how to mix paint, what kind of materials to use, and on and on and on. So I got interested in that, right? I got interested in that early on. And I don't know if you are or not, but I got interested in that kind of thing. I got interested in the mechanics of it. And I started learning about art history, and I started learning about periods of art, right? Schools of art. I started learning from anywhere from I was very interested in Impressionist work. And I started learning about things, styles and periods before that, of course, right? I started learning about Romanticism, Rococo, Baroque, and on and on and on, different different schools of realism and all of that stuff. And then I started learning about all the impressionism, the impressionism and the post-impressionist and the modern, the modernist movements, all the way up to whatever was happening later after Picasso, Dada, and all that good stuff. So I was very interested in that kind of learning, right? In the mechanics. I was interested in mechanics, and I noticed that I wasn't alone. Many artists out there that were doing what I was trying to do were also interested in the mechanics. Many artists because the reason I'm saying all of this is because when I wanted to become an artist, I got sidetracked. And when I mean an artist, I'm talking about a full-time artist and someone who actually said, all right, honey, I'm going to the studio later, and then came back and, oh man, I just came back from the studio, right? Like that was my job, going to an art studio or creating artwork, right? And I know it's not for everybody, but many people see that as the thing that they want, right? And people see that as the goal. And when I started creating artwork, I saw that as my goal. I was like, man, I wish I could do this, right? But I was sidetracked. As many artists are. We get almost suckered. We get suckered in to the minutia end of things. Now, I'm not saying it's not important, but I call it minutia because it's not as important, right? We get suckered into the whole composition, art technique, materials, and on and on and on and on. And then when artists actually learn what it takes to become full-time artists, they teach that to other artists. And I thought, there's something wrong with this game. You know, there's something really wrong, aggressively wrong with this game. How come? How come? You know, people that start making some income and they start selling their artwork, all of a sudden they start teaching other artists how to create artwork as opposed to, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it seems like, here, I'm going to teach you how to become a full-time artist by teaching you how to paint, you know. I don't think that's the game. I don't think that's right. And it never sat well with me. I just didn't understand it. It's like I'm a musician, right? And I play the guitar. And then somehow I figure out how to get into music, you know, playing gigs. And I start touring, and I'm not Eddie Van Halen or now Bruno Mars or whatever, right? A modern artist. But instead of telling other people, look, this is how you get into the shows. This is how you go and tour. This is how you get accepted. This is how you go into getting your shows. I tell people, well, I'm going to show you how to become a full-time musician by teaching you how to play the guitar. And, you know, I was a kid, but it didn't register. I was like, wait a minute, you know? So, but I believed it, right? It didn't register, but I still believed it because I was like, well, that must be the way. That must be the way. The person who knows more about art, the person who knows more about art history, the person who knows more about technique is sure going to make a living as an artist. Now, I'm not saying these things are not important, because these things, I would lie to you if I told you that these things didn't help me. Of course they're important. Of course. It's important. To a certain degree, it's important to know about art history. You know, you're talking to a collector that knows art history, and you can hold a conversation with a collector, and they know that you understand certain things that maybe they like about artwork, and you know, you can hold a conversation with them and maybe walk them through a sale or whatever. Those things are important. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying don't go learn that. What I'm saying is that is not necessarily the path to becoming a full-time artist. And a lot of people out there are almost teaching that, right? They're not saying it, but they're almost teaching it to be like the only way. Like, look, you want to be a full-time artist, this is what you have to do. You have to learn how to create artwork. And now we have artists who shadow other artists. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to paint like this artist, as if that is going to ensure that you make a living as an artist. That only ensures that you paint like the artist, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna make a living as an artist, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you're learning any marketing skills, any promotional skills, any business skills, none of that. And so I'm telling you all of this because I know that when I started, I got suckered into that, and I know many of other people that I knew who are artists as well got suckered into it too. I mean, we would sit there and talk about it, like, oh, okay, what's the business strategy? What's the and when I mean business strategy, I'm not talking about real business strategy. It was like, what do I have to know, right? What do I have to know about creating artwork? What do I have to know about? We didn't even say business strategy. We're like, what do we have to know about creating artwork, about talking about artwork, right? We thought, oh, you need to know how to communicate your artwork. Yes, those things are important. But there's certain nitty-gritty things, fundamentals that people that are creating artwork and making a living from their artwork many times don't tell you, don't share with you. And that's because I believe that they're afraid that you're going to go do the same thing, right? And I have a whole theory behind that, which I'm not going to go through it here, but it's the idea that someone else is going to take your secret recipe, right? Their secret recipe. If they teach it to you, they're like, oh my God, no. They can't know what I know, because people believe that they have some sort of secret recipe. And it's not a secret recipe. It's just basic selling skills, getting out of your comfort zone, and marketing. And it's work. All of it is work. It's not secrets. People tend to make them, be as if they're secrets, but it's just, when you are so focused on creating artwork, you can't see them, right? You're somewhere else. So when someone tells you, oh, by the way, did you know that, you know, if you want to get a gallery exhibit, it's actually very simple. All you really have to do is, instead of going and knocking on the door of one gallery, go knock on the door of 20 galleries, right? And boom, you'll have a gallery exhibit, right? Not quite like that, right? But a high probability, right? Is a very high probability, as opposed to this is what you do and this is how you talk to them and you prepare yourself and on and on and on. It's like, no, it's not that complicated, really. It's just that it takes a lot of work, right? It takes a lot of work. And people make it seem like they're the secrets. Now, I don't think they're secrets, but I think that if you're focused on creating artwork only, they will appear to you as secrets. If you are focused on, your whole career has been focused on how I don't know, what I learned more about artwork, about art history, about technique, about how to blend paints, right? About the correct brush stroke, the correct painting style, what school of art, what style of art, right? Are you doing realism, hyperrealism, I don't know, cubist, you know, expressionism and blah, 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 and any kind of ism. If you're focused on that, more than likely, 9 out of 10, I'm willing to bet, your ideas about marketing and selling and making a full-time living as an artist are like night and day. Because not because there's something, you know, not because you're not intelligent, but it's because all of your attention, it's not on promoting and selling your artwork. And many of us are afraid of that. Many of us are like, well, I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to appear commercial, right? I don't want to be a commercial artist. I want to be an avant-garde, or I want to be a serious artist. Someone, you know, that people take me seriously. I don't want to be an artist in the bunch, right? In the a flea market artist, or and on and on and on. All these preconceived notions that we have, right? The market, the gallery system is really for serious artists, and if you go online and you try to do Etsy or eBay or Amazon, you're really just a sellout. You're just looking for money and blah, blah, blah. But then again, we're torn apart. Many of us are torn apart, right? Many of us are like, well, I don't want to go there, but at the same time, I have a daytime job, right? Where I feel like a complete sellout, but at least I don't feel a sellout in my artwork, right? But I want to make a full-time living as an artist. It's like, fuck, man, like, what do you want? You know, you want to buy the cake, right? Touch the cake, lick the cake, and eat the cake? Or do you just want to buy the cake and look at it, you know? Or do you want to just walk by the cake and not even buy it? Like, pick one, right? And we're torn apart because of all this, I believe it's all these social constructs that have been placed. They're already in place, right? For example, I have people call me and tell me, no gallery is going to want to touch you because you sell online, because you sell on eBay or you sell on Etsy. And it's funny because then I have galleries, art dealers contact me and saying, I want to carry your work. You know, but there's all these ideas, right? There's all these ideas that some people believe this, some people believe that, and on and on and on. The one thing that has worked for me consistently is work. It's just putting in work. It's the one thing that has only been consistent. The one thing that every time I'm in a pickle, I know how to get out of it. Heavy amounts of work. You know, and it's not smart work all the time. It's just work. It's just moving. And then I get smart in the way, right? And then you learn how to get smart. And then, of course, your work gets smarter and smarter. But it's not because you're trying to be smart. It's because you learn in the way. You learn in the process. You start figuring things out, right? So I'm saying all of this because I know that there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of artists out there that want to make a living as an artist, but they're split. They're split between, should I be a commercial artist? Should I not be? Should I be a serious artist? Are galleries going to take me serious if I go online, or if I go to the whole, I don't know, arts and crafts show, or if I sell locally in cafes and local little galleries, mom and pop galleries, or if I go to the, I don't know, hotel lobbies, right, or any type of little store or whatever, um, and do like a retail is what I'm talking about, right? Like a local retail type of thing. And are people going to take me seriously? And I really want to be at the, at the big badass gallery, New York or LA or whatever. And I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid that people are not going to take me seriously. I'm afraid that an art dealer is not going to take me seriously. And on and on and on and on. What I want to tell you is that all those things are really just, they're sacred cows. They're social constructs. They were put there in place by people who, for the most part, are either only in very high places, right? Do they have a certain in the galleries, right? It doesn't mean that they're making a living as an artist. They could be exhibiting in great galleries and still won't see a paycheck, right? I've met some, and it could also mean that just because you are putting yourself in, I don't know, in a flea market doesn't mean that you're getting paid either, right? It doesn't. So there's this thing, right? What I believe that most artists need, I personally believe, is some basic marketing and selling skills, and remove the BS of, I don't want to sell, I don't want to be commercial. Like, you got to pick one, right? You got to pick one. There's a lot of talk out there about sell your artwork, yeah, but be careful. You don't want to appear too salesy, right? Market your artwork, but don't look like you're tooting your own horn. It's like, I'm always so confused by this. I'm always like, what the hell? Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I'm always so confused with this. Like, it's like, go to the gym, but don't get hurt. Don't hurt yourself. It's like, fuck, man. Like, then what do I do? Well, there's a right way. No, there isn't a right way. The only right way there is to do anything is to get started and start doing it. And then you get smart in the way. But everybody wants to start out doing the right way. That's the problem. Everybody wants to start out doing the right way. What can I do so that I don't get hurt? Well, we're all acting like we're doctors and we're about to operate on someone. And which one is it? Blue or red? Blue or red? Which one is it? Because if you cut the blue one, the patient dies. Which one is it? And it's not like that when it comes to our careers. But we dread this, right? We dread this because of all this, again, the socialization, right? All the ideas that we grew up with, right? These ideas that you're supposed to do things a certain way, and if you don't do them that way, they're not going to work for you. So, what I believe is that we need to start looking at people that are doing it, right? We start looking at people that are doing it. This is what I'm doing anyways. I look at people, whether they're selling artwork or not. Because a lot of people that, that are showing their art out there and whatnot, a lot of them don't really sell artwork. A lot of them, if you dig a little deep, you realize that they're just, it's something they do on the side and they do it really nice and it looks nice, and hopefully one day someone may start buying them, or they'll sell a piece of artwork here and there, but not enough to make a living, or much less sustain a family, or much less grow a business, right? Maintain and grow a business. And so what I'm doing is I start looking at who is, and I know this is not conventional, right? This is not something that people normally applaud. But I start looking at who is winning. This is my question. This is a question I like to ask myself. And I ask myself this question constantly. I get into a space, and the first question I ask is, who's winning? Who's at the lead? Who's leading? Right? And I believe it's a very fair question. How's it going, Aspen? Aspen Piper. That's the very first question that I ask myself. Who's winning here? Who's winning in this space? If I'm going to go on Etsy, right? If I'm going to go on an Etsy marketplace for artwork, I start looking at who's winning. Who's winning? What are they doing that's making them win? If I go on Snapchat, right, I start looking at who's winning on Snapchat. I don't look at what looks great, what looks nice, what's the best video. What are they doing? If I go on YouTube, I do the same thing. I start looking like, what are they doing, right? Where are the winners? And I know this is not very conventional because people are like, well, you shouldn't look at winners and losers. No, when it comes to careers and when it comes to business, I look at winners and losers. It's that plain and simple. I do. I personally do. Why? Because you could be spending all your time doing something that doesn't necessarily bear fruit, right? It's like everything else, right? If you want to go somewhere, you want to make sure who's got the map. Who's got the map? I want to see the person that's prepared and's got the map. That's who I want to hang out with. If I don't know, I've never been in a situation like that, but if I were in a dangerous situation, right? I want to see, well, who's trained? Who's trained to be in a situation like this, right? Swimming with sharks in a war and whatever, God forbid, right? I want to be very close to the person who's trained, right? Who's winning. I want to see what they're doing, what he or she is doing, and I want to be right next to that person, mimicking their every move, right? And this is not something that we're taught, right? This is something that we're like. One of my mentors said to me once, look, you want to get good at artwork, making a living as an artist? He said, look at what the artist is doing, not what the artist is painting. Okay? This is a huge gold nugget for you guys out there, if you guys haven't looked into that. Look at what the artist is doing. Look at the behavior of the artist. And that got me to think, right? When I started going deeper into when I mean deeper, I'm talking about more aggressive and really start working harder in my own career. And I started learning about artists, but I stopped learning about artists from a I want to learn how to paint like them point, because that only took me so far. That didn't ensure that I was going to create a living as an artist. Again, much less take care of a family, much less maintain and grow a business. That only ensured that I knew how to mimic Monet, mimic Picasso, become some shadow version of them. That doesn't ensure anything, right? It doesn't ensure anything. So what I started doing is that I started reading their biographies, interested in their behavior. I became interested in this artist's behaviors. I became interested in the behavior of Willem de Kooning, Marc Chagall, Picasso, Matisse, Brock. I became interested. What am I saying these people? Because these people are generalizing. I'm generalizing. Are the artists of the 20th century, right? Now, one of the reasons I didn't become so interested in learning on artists before the 20th century, 19th century artists, 18th century artists, in that sense, is because it was a whole different economy. I mean, even 20th century artists is a whole different economy than today's artists, right? This economy. So I started looking into the closer, right? The closer these artists came to our present time, and the more famous or the more successful, I was interested in their behavior. What kind of behavior? And I'm not talking about ethics, because we all know Picasso was an asshole, especially with women. I'm not talking about ethics, and I'm not talking about morals and none of that. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the horse, and how is the horse trained? What were they doing to advance their career? What type of behavior? What time did they wake up? How many hours a day did they work? How many works did they produce in their lifetime? Right? What type of work did they produce? Right? How How did they market themselves? And on and on and on and on. All these things became something that once I started looking into that, I started appropriating some of that behavior to my own life. And I still do it, right? I'm not going to stop. I'm still appropriating that type of behavior. But the very little that I appropriated changed my career. Like that. Just changed it. Because we were taught, again, right? And whether this directly or indirectly, we were taught to do things a certain way. We're usually taught about becoming a full-time artist by an art teacher who's not a full-time artist, right? Or by a friend who's not a full-time artist. Or by a local artist who's not a full-time artist, who maybe does music on the side, who maybe does an odd job on the side, and then they do artwork, and then they do another odd job. Like I've seen artists, right? It's the game, right? No fault in that. People are trying to make a living, but I've seen artists. They go in there, they work, they hang sheetrock Sundays, right? And then they're musicians on the weekends, and then they go and have gallery shows. And in the gallery shows, everything looks great, kind of like a profile on Instagram, right? Everything looks like it's perfect, but it's not, right? And you start digging into it, and you're like, wait a minute, this person's not really making a living. Right? But I'm thinking that person's making a living. So I start, trying to do what that person's like, following the wrong prophet, right? Now, this doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It has nothing to do with a person being good or a person being bad. It's about being the right or wrong for you, right? For you, not for the rest of the world, for you. So if you want to be if you want to be a professional football player, maybe you need to stop playing with your buddies, right? You need to start playing. You need to stop playing with your local buddies, your buddies that you grew up with, and go get yourself a real coach. If you want to be a boxer, right, professional boxer, then you need to stop. Fighting in the streets or doing it, like mediocrely. Maybe you need to put some money aside and go get yourself a real coach, not the best coach, right, but a real coach. And then jump from there to a better coach, and then jump from there to a better coach, and on and on and on. So what I'm trying to say is that, look, most of us are not taught to think that way. Most of us are taught to think in a romantic way. To be an artist is a romantic notion. And it is. We all know it. Mom knows it. Dad knows it. Auntie and granny, we all know it. It's a very romantic thing. I want to be an artist. Well, how romantic is it? Right? I want to have a gallery show, and I want people to come and see and tell me. Really, it's because we're looking for validation. Many of us, right? But when it comes to career, that needs to be put aside. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make a living. But all the romantic notions, you keep those. You keep those for maybe, I don't know, once a year, right? You go and you hang out with your buddies. You open a bottle of wine. And you talk about your accomplishments, right? Like, oh, yes, I had a gallery show. Oh, that's awesome. You drink a little. Cowgirl Tough says, when you start painting? I started painting when I was about 14 years old, 13, 14 years old. And, well, I touched oils when I was 14. And before that, I used to paint in acrylic. I was a little kid. But full-time, 6 years ago. Full-time. The same year, my wife jumped on the the bandwagon with me, also because I couldn't take it. I couldn't take all the orders. This is how fast my life changed. Once I started focusing on marketing and selling my artwork, and I still had a problem. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I had a problem. This was a huge challenge for me. I wanted to paint nice, right? I wanted to paint good. I'm not saying you shouldn't paint good, but it's going to happen on its own, right? Most of us are good people. Most of us want to learn how to create artwork. Most of us want to do the best you can do. The problem is that a lot of us get stuck on that idea, and then therefore we don't believe we're good enough. And if you don't believe you're good enough, then all of a sudden you're going to start feeling like, well, who would buy that? I think it's shitty. Why would they want to buy it? So you start, even if you put a great price, even if you're like, oh, this little painting is $5,000. I'm going to put it for $5,000, but deep down inside, you don't think it's good enough. This is what you're going to do. You're not going to show it enough. You're not going to show it enough. You'll show it every now and then, but you'll put it away. You'll hide it under the idea of, I don't want people to steal my style, or stupid ideas like that. I'm not ready. I like doing this, like Dr. Evil, and all these things. But the reality is that you don't feel good about yourself. And it has nothing to do with your artwork or anything like that. It's just that human beings, we're naturally like that. We need to overcome that, right? We don't feel enough. Maybe, I don't know. My guess is our parents and their parents screw them up, and on and on and on and on. We were told, don't touch that. Sit down. Finish your food. All this kind of stuff made you feel like, whoa, oh shit, well, maybe I'm not good enough. I keep hearing no all the time. I keep hearing, get down from there. Don't run so fast. Sit down. What are you doing? And blah, 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 blah. And then if you have, siblings also telling you that, then of course you're not good enough, right? You're going to feel like, oh, shit. I'm not playing psychologist. I grew up in a household full of people. and I noticed that just about everybody that acts like that, right? Unless you were the lucky kid, right? That your parents sent you to, to a military academy, and they straighten you up, right? And then you have a different idea of life. Your idea of life is aggressive, right? It's an aggressive. Most of us are a bunch of weenies. Our idea of life is, excuse me, pardon me, Mr., Mrs. I was thinking about, and this is not. It's just because we're trained to be nice. It doesn't mean that we're we're not. It doesn't mean we're stupid. It's just we're trained to be nice, right? We want to please people. If I'm nice, will you like me? If I'm nice, will you think I'm good enough? If I'm polite, will you like me? Okay, good. I'm gonna be polite. I'm gonna be nice, and some people, were blessed with their parents, being a little tougher on them. And I'm not talking about tough in a negative way. I'm talking about tough in the sense of giving them a lot of positivity, right? Like, I want to do this. Sure, go ahead. Fall, right? Whatever. I don't know. Run for it. The kid falls, starts crying, and the dad doesn't get upset, or the mom doesn't get upset, and they look at it, see what happens. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Go run again. Try it again, right? Fear is hard. Sean Corn Art says, I grew up with lots of no's. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to overcome. Absolutely. Cowgirl says, I have been waiting to sell my art, but I'm not sure how to get it out there. Yeah, and a lot of it is fear, guys. I mean, the reality is that a lot of it is fear. It's not that we are afraid of necessarily. We're afraid of losing. Nobody likes losing, right? So there's really no right or wrong way, cowgirl, to get your artwork out there. It's very simple. All you have to do is just, I don't know, do you have 5 paintings, right? Put them in your car, or if you don't have a car, whatever, right? Put a little suitcase of them, and go to as many galleries as you can in your hometown. And someone's going to have to say yes, right? Someone's going to have to say yes. If someone says no, right? Most likely 9 out of 10 are going to say no, maybe 20, right? If you visit 100, maybe if you visit 100 galleries or 100 places, you knock on 100 doors. Maybe, I don't know, 90 people are going to be like, nope, 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 nope. Those people that say no, tell them, okay, well, it's not you. This is very simple. Okay, it's not you. Who is it then, right? Maybe you go visit 100 places and you only get to talk to 20 people, right? Because they're busy, or they're doing something, or the place was closed. And then we give up, right? This is life. And then we give up and we're like, maybe I'll try it tomorrow. And then we procrastinate because we're afraid. We're afraid of the no, right? Well, nobody likes to handle the no, right? This is why a lot of people don't date, right? Hey, what's up? Let's go hang out. Nope. No, dude, forget it. You're not my kind. You're not my kind, my type, right? My kind. You're not my type. Get out of here, right? You're too short, or I don't know. You're too chubs, or whatever, right? And then we're like, we feel sad, right? And then we don't want to try it again. And the reality is that if you try it often enough, the more you try it, the more yeses you get. And that's the trick of people, right? I remember reading uh, this article. These people say you know, if you want to nail a date, all you have to do is stand in the corner and start asking people out Friday night. You're going to nail a date, right? Because it's a numbers game. And so some people are going to probably push you, or some people are going to say you're stupid, you're crazy. But there's going to be that one person that's going to be like, sure, why not? Because it's a numbers game. They're going to find you funny. They're going to find you hilarious for asking that, in the middle of the street. I don't suggest anybody doing it. I don't even think it's legal. I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't be. But anyways, what the person was illustrating was that it was a numbers game, right? The more you do it, the more chances you have of a yes. And people that marketers and people that salespeople know this, and that's why they win at the endeavors, whatever they're at, because they know it's a numbers game. They know, okay, well, if I visit, I don't know, 10 galleries, right? If I visit 10 galleries, one of them is gonna talk to me, right? It's gonna be like, okay, well, talk to me. Let me hear you, right? If I do that every day for the next 30 days, I don't know, right? I don't know how many galleries is that. What, 300 galleries? You're going to be able to talk to 30 of them. You see what I mean? You're going to be able to talk to 30 of them. Let's say that 3 say yes. You already got yourself 3 shows in 1 month. Now, this sounds stupid, right? It's not, guys. This is the way things run. This is how everything runs. The problem is that we're afraid of the no. And we're afraid of being rejected. So we put it off and we say, oh, no, I don't have time. No, my artwork and blah, blah, blah. I just gave you guys a massive tip right here. It's something that you don't know. I'm just reminding you. I'm never going to tell you something you don't know. It's just you're not focused on that. You're focused on creating artwork for the most part. And I'm not saying you in particular. I'm just generalizing. I don't know if necessarily you are thinking about that. But for the most part, right? I know that because I was there. I was thinking about creating artwork. I was thinking about, not so long ago, I was still like, oh my God, my style is not quite right. And I was already making a full-time income, supporting my family, paying an apartment in downtown and paying a studio, an art studio, not that far from here. And things are rolling for me. I'm making things work. And those thoughts still come and visit me, right? Like, maybe you're not, well, not long ago. Maybe you're not good enough. Okay, get out of here. What do you mean I'm not good enough? I'm just talking about my own thoughts. I'm like, get out of here. Of course I'm good enough. But it visits us. That's why we have to stay focused, right? We have to stay focused because those things are part of the artist, right? This Van Gogh used to say this. If you hear your mind telling you you're not good enough, he said, keep painting, right? And then those thoughts are going to disappear. Why? Because it's the resistance, right? There's a resistance happening, and it's fear. The resistance is fear. It's the little kid in us that is afraid of hearing no again. We heard no way too many times. Mom and dad said no for the most part. Again, I'm generalizing. Mom and dad said no. Our siblings said no. Auntie and uncle said no. And then when we tried a date, we're like, oh my God, excuse me, movies? No, I don't want to go out with you. Oh man, I get a lot of no's, And then we never really do it again, right? You're like, hands are sweating, right? Want to grab dinner? No. Oh, damn. And then we get older, and our life depends on getting no's. Our livelihood depends on getting no's, right? The more no's you get, the more yeses you get, because the yeses, there's a very small number. So if you get a shitload of no's, you're going to get a good number of yeses, right? Our whole life depends on getting no's. But we're so conditioned to be afraid of no's. Man, this should be on a TED Talk. We're so conditioned to be afraid of the no's that we never get to the yeses. The yeses is the juice, right? It's the juice. And it's the nectar, right? But we're afraid. We've been conditioned to be afraid. And then we don't want to move forward. So just a little reminder for you guys. It's okay. Go get a no. Sean Corner says, I like how you think, Jose. Thank you. Appreciate that. So my message to you guys is go get some no's. It's okay. Go get some no's. And maybe if you get enough no's, not maybe, I know for a fact. I know this for a fact. This is how life works. You get enough no's, you're going to get a couple of yeses. And then you're going to get excited. You're going to start getting excited. Oh man, someone bought a work, you know. You tell 100 people, hey, buy this painting, buy this painting, buy this painting. 10 will say, well, let me listen. 90 people for the most part are going to say, get out of here. 10 people will say, oh, these are, by the way, these are the actual numbers, the average, okay, of the sales. 10 people are going to say, okay, well, pitch me, tell me, why? Why do you want me to buy the painting? Oh, because it's a great painting, blah, 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 blah. You know, you throw your pitch. It doesn't have to be perfect, by the way. You could just be natural, okay? I'm a painting. I put my heart and soul into it. I'm a great artist, blah, 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 you know? And besides, I'm going the distance, and I'm picking up speed. That sounded like Beck. something Beck would have said. I'm picking up speed, I'm going the distance. And you know, I'm here to stay. I'm not just, you know, passing by. So the artwork is going to also go up in value as time goes by, right? And on and on. You throw your pitch. Out of those 10 people, more than likely, even if you're horrible, 1 or 2 are very likely to buy. Even if you're horrible, if you talk to 100 people, right? 90 said no. 10 say, talk to me. 1 or 2 people are very highly likely to buy. But we're afraid of the 98 no's. We're afraid of the 98 no's, and that's why we don't do it. So I'll leave you guys with that. My name is Jose Trujillo. I call myself the world's greatest living artist just because I am. You know, you got to start calling yourself something. Don't let other people call you something, though, by the way. Beat them to the punch. Call yourself something. Call yourself your name if you want to. If you just want to use your name. I use my name and a tagline, world's greatest living artist. And also, I want to share with you guys really quick here before I log out. I'm going to start doing one-on-one consulting. A lot of people have been asking me, not a lot, but some people have been asking me on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube, hey, dude, do you do coaching? Do you can you walk me through some stuff, or, you know, stuff that I've done? I can't teach you stuff that I haven't done, but I can share with you stuff that I've done and things that have worked for me and things to stay away from, right? That didn't work for me. So anyways, I'm doing one-on-one coaching, little consulting. It's a little side gig. I can't really put much attention to it, at least right now, because I don't make my income from there. I'm a painter. But I thought it was pretty cool to start helping someone out there. I'm going to be posting the mechanics of it. I'm going to do half an hour and 1 hour consulting, and we are going to do it either through phone or Skype. It depends if you're in another country. And I'm setting up the website anyways for the time zones. It's the time zones that have kind of mess with me, because some people are from different countries, and then I'm like, I was sleeping when I was supposed to do the call. And Kurt Sid says, I like what you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're welcome. I appreciate it. Cowgirl Tough says, thank you for the tips and advice. Thank you so much. You're welcome. It's a pleasure for me. I think that there's so much misinformation out there, and we need to go beyond all that lack of good information. You know, the good-ish. Like, okay, I want to be an artist, great, but then again, everybody wants to be an artist. How do we separate the big boys from the little boys, the big girls from the big girls, the little girls from the big girls? So how do we separate big people from little people, right? I'm talking about this, of course, not literal, please, people, not literal. Who is winning and who's not? I don't want to follow someone who's not winning, right? And winning for me, right? Like, some people may be looking at me and be like, oh man, I want to be able to sell artwork every day and and make a living, right? Or maybe not even there, right? Maybe it's too far fetched. Maybe you have your job and on and on. Okay, how can I at least start getting my artwork out? Right? How can I at least what's the strategy? How can I start getting my artwork out? Or how can I start selling one piece a month? You know, maybe 2 pieces a month. You know, maybe 1 piece a week. Right? How can I do that? What is the best way to do that? How can I start getting that ball rolling? Well, I do that. I sell multiple pieces a month and different sizes, different prices, and I have different strategies that work for me. So again, I'm gonna be doing consulting, little coaching, one-on-one, and those of you who are interested in doing it and are like, okay, but I don't know if I'm gonna get. If you don't think you got value from what I just told you guys right now, and you guys are like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm gonna get value from you. I'm not sure. On and on. Like, who are you? Who am I? I'm not a big artist, guys. I just make an income as an artist, right? I make over 6 figures a year selling artwork. I'm able to support my family. I'm waking up every day and I'm working. I don't sit and relax. Whatever I'm going to tell you, it's not about relaxing. It's about work. So that's what I do. And also, if you're serious about it, I'm doing 15 free minutes. Okay. No charge. 15 minutes. Just to ask me your most burning desires, your burning questions, right? Maybe you have a burning question, and you're like, let me see if this guy can help me, right? And you got 15 minutes for that. My info is going to be on my link right here. I'll put my info. I'm gonna put my info on this video or on my Instagram profile somewhere. You're gonna see my info. There's a link for my eBay shop, but I don't have my email there or my phone number. But anyways, DM me. How about that? Cash me outside. Cash me outside. I had to say it. So yeah, DM me if you're like, dude, I want a little bit of coaching. Come on, give me those 15 minutes for free, right? Just DM me if you guys think it's cool. Anyways, enough with my pitch. I hope you guys, even if forget about this coaching thing, like move it aside because that's my pitch, right? I got a pitch. That's how I live. That's what you should be doing too. Just implement one of the things I just told you right now. Just implement that. Go get some no's. See how your self-esteem level will skyrocket. Go get some no's and then hit a yes. Okay, go get a few no's. Hey, want to go out with me? Maybe you're not going out with anyone. If you're married, don't do that. If you're in a relationship, but let's say that you're not going out with anyone, right? Go start talking to people. Just make a little fool of yourself. It's okay. Go start talking to people. Get a lot of no's. Get a few no's. Get comfortable with no's, and then you'll see a yes is going to pop out, and you're like, oh man, I can do this, right? Then you go get some more no's, and then a yes is going to pop out, and you're like, oh man, this is how winners win. They get a lot of no's. That's really the secret. Anyways, guys, take care, and hasta la vista, baby.